Hi, welcome back to our channel. My name's Jolie, and really grateful that you're here with me. I have our little dog Obie here. He's gonna sleep. There you go. So I thought I would come back and say hello and read from Acceptance again, since I'm still visiting my mom in Ohio. And I'm not on as often as I had been before, but I have 365 days of readings from Al-Anon literature, from Courage to Change, Hope for Today, and One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. So just check that out if you're interested. You just go into the main page and the search button, and you put in the date that you're looking for. If you have a certain date that you'd like to look up, they're all there. So it'll come up for you. All right. So let's get started. Let's see where we left off. Um, and we'll say the Serenity prayer at the end here. And let's get to page 11. Page 11. Actually, let's go to, let me see, did we read this already? Yes. Let's read starting at page 15. So page 15 on the top, and it says suffering. Here we go. What is it? The acceptance, the way to serenity and peace of mind. Some humorists once said, just because we have the right to the pursuit of happiness is no sign we'll ever catch up with it. Sometimes it almost seems like the universe doesn't want us to be happy here on earth, that God demands misery and suffering in this life as the price of happiness in the next. The Puritans believed this, but don't you be a Puritan and believe it. So the universe wants us to be happy right here on earth, and even points out the way. Sometimes, however, we refuse to look at where the universe is pointing. Can you relate to that? The trouble is that most of us think happiness consists in the fulfillment of our wants and desires, or at the very least in freedom from pain and suffering. Actually, it consists in the serenity that comes from conforming our own will to the will of the universe. Acceptance. So we achieve happiness by forcing ourselves. Force yourself to accept what God, the universe, wants for us. How do you know what that is, right? It's obvious that such a course would make for happiness in the next life, but it's hard to see how it would make us happy in this life. That's because we're convinced that happiness lies in getting what we want, satisfying our instinctive appetites and desires, all of which is the exact opposite of the truth. Tell us more, please. Actually, even if we could satisfy our every desire, we would not be happy. Really? Self-gratification, far from making us happy, makes us miserable. As we learned long ago from the tale of King Midas and the Golden Touch. Remember that one? If you have ever been making the universal mistake of trying to appease the drive of your self-will, stop it. Stop it. Stop catering to it and start controlling it. Easier said than done. No, it's not too difficult when you know how. God has provided us with the perfect means to eliminate self-will and free ourselves from the slavery of our insatiable desires. It is suffering, the perfect tool to cut us down to proper size. Instead of going the limit to dodge pain, we had better start using it. Pain is the only instrument sharp enough to prune away the excesses of our wayward will and to fashion it into a reasonable, simple facsimile of God's will, the universal will, which is to say, into shape of a cross. What, pray tell, is this author going to tell us next? Very few people carry a cross of heroic proportions, since God makes each one to measure, and there are very few heroes. More usually, it consists of daily annoyances, daily petty frustrations, disappointment and loneliness, and reoccurring disillusionment with everybody, ourselves included. You might term it a combination of bodily aches, spiritual twinges, and mental hotfoots. I love that go to make up everyday living. The way of the cross may be hard, but it remains the only road to happiness, serenity, and peace in this life on this earth. And at its end, there awaits you happiness without measure, without limit, without end. Let's see, what do you like? For me, what's coming up in this is the combination of will and God, working with God's will, the universal will, and what does that mean? Like the spiritual aspect of our life, connecting to spirit, the acts that we do, the action that we do. So body, mind, and spirit, the way we think. I pray to be led into a new way of thinking about the difficulties I have to face. A new point of view will put them into perspective and reduce the issues to manageable size. And I pray especially not to exaggerate my troubles until they overwhelm me. And that's from One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. That goes along with that. Like we working. I think that's what the cross means, the way of the cross. But let's see. So contentment, we're on page 18. Contentment. Baby screams because mama won't let him play with a nice big shiny butcher knife. And this is written by Vincent Collins. I don't know. Okay. All right. It's an example or a metaphor that's pretty graphic, huh? So baby is very unhappy because he can't have what he wants, and he doesn't want that silly old rattle. Baby has yet to learn that contentment consists not in getting what they want, but in enjoying what they have. So if we grown-ups, are you a grown-up? Are contented only when we are getting what we want, we're going to be discontented most of the time. That way, our happiness depends on circumstances over which we have no control. No human being is so wise and powerful that he can control circumstances. Then we had better see what we can do about finding our own enjoyment. Since we can't get everything we want, we must learn to enjoy what we have. Contentment. Well, what have you? Let's see. You're alive. You have 5 senses in more or less good working order. So I am not out of touch. I can even look at a smoldering dump and enjoy the realization that I can see it and I can smell it. I can listen to a cat yowling outside my window at 3 a.m. and enjoy the realization that there's nothing wrong with my hearing perception. I can walk. I can enjoy the sensation of picking my feet up and putting them down. I can be colorblind or tone deaf and still enjoy a little baby's gurgling. As a matter of fact, we can find something enjoyable in any situation, no matter how disagreeable, if we look for it. So if we try hard enough, we can even enjoy the drudgery of our work. Don't make the mistake of postponing your enjoyment until vacation time. So this reminds me, it's like, okay, for instance, when I drive to work, it takes me like an hour to get to work. Most times 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour 15, depending on the time of year. That's drudgery. Though I choose to go, like I'm doing it. So why don't I find something I enjoy about it? Let's see. I have a quiet time. I can listen to music for an hour. I can call someone and have a private conversation because I'm in my car for that long. I can listen to a podcast. I can really enjoy the fact that I'm outside. If it's raining, I could be grateful that I'm not getting wet, or how fast I'm getting to work compared to how long it would be if I had to walk. Something like that. That's what I think about when I do that. Or when I'm tired at work, I'll think, like if I start going down that hole of, this job, kind of thing. I'm like, I'm grateful I have this job. I'm grateful that I was invited to be at that job. I'm grateful that I'm wanted at this job. I'm grateful that it's almost time to go home. I'm grateful that, like that kind of thing. So let me learn to understand myself first. So that will occupy me so fully that I will have no time nor thought to analyze and criticize things that I can't control, including a compulsive addict or a person, place, or thing that I can criticize. Why would I do that? Including myself. And I pray each day, may I advance my steps on the road to understanding, that I may leave nothing undone that I could have changed the course of my life for the better. Those are repeat things that I say because they remind me of the grace of the fact that I'm aware enough to, and I have the willingness to have some acceptance in the drudgeries and the mundane things in life. If these alternatives don't work, there is only one thing left: plain, simple, rock bottom acceptance. Just stop pitting yourself. Stop rebelling. Throw in the sponge and surrender to the obvious fact that since God, your higher power, the universe, allows it, you can't escape it. You cannot escape it. It must be best for you and for everyone. So pray, meditate, concentrate, breathe, for the faith to believe it and to accept it. The goal is serenity and peace of mind, right? That's why you're here. Lord, save us. Page 21. God is infinitely wise. God knows what is best for us. God loves us with an infinite love. The universe wants what is best for us. God is infinitely powerful and can achieve it for us. We, on the other hand, are ignorant, weak, and wayward. Maybe not so much. Ooh, is that hitting your ego? It's hitting mine a bit. I'm like, this is so old-fashioned. But let's just keep it simple here. Yet in weakness lies our strength. Are we licked, beat, flattened, hopeless? Fine. It is only when we admit to our utter helplessness that we can be sure of God's help. That's called humility. God grant us that serenity to accept the things we can't change, the courage to change the things we can, the courage, right? Courage to change ourselves and our attitudes, and the wisdom to know the difference. No one but a monster could pass by a starving, naked infant freezing in a snowbank without picking it up, sheltering, feeding, and clothing it. So it is with us. As long as we insist, I can handle it. God says, go ahead. But when we appeal to God as a helpless infant, humility, God picks us up in God's gentle hands and cradles us in the universal powerful arms, and our worries are over. A very wise old person used to put it this way: as long as I insisted on driving, I ran into trouble. After the last crack up, I said to God, my higher power, okay, you drive it. Since then, I have been riding in the back seat, enjoying the scenery. I place myself completely in God's hands every morning and say, thank you, universe, every night, and that's it. In praying, we must remember that God knows best. Suppose, for an instance, I think I'm about to lose my job. Should I pray? What should I pray for? God may have ordained that I do not pray and will let nature take its course. And maybe I'll lose my job. And if I do, I'll ask God to save my job. Maybe He will. However, with greater faith, I may pray, dear God, do what is best. That's how you do it. You don't ask. I was taught that those are called foxhole prayers when you pray for something specific. That's because we're still trying to control our outside forces, right? So, like, for instance, if we're going to lose our job, which is awful, right? Because change is terrible. It feels like, but change is what life throws us life's problems a lot, right? Like, oh gosh. So instead of like suffering through it, right? Accepting it, and then, doing what you can, like the action of putting your resume together, saying, well, maybe, did I really like this job? Did this job really, there's other jobs, there's other ways. So, put that prayer to action, and you say, God, higher power, universe, do what is best for all concerned, and allow me to see what your plan is. And then surround yourself with positive people, and let them know what happened, and you never know what's going to go on from there. And in turn, God may permit me to lose my job only to get a better one. I have nothing to lose by leaving it up to God. After all, God can't possibly do a worse job than running my life than I have already myself. So we all are inclined to make the mistake of thinking that a few minutes we spend in actually talking to God are all that count. So in reality, the attitude of mind we maintain throughout the day is every bit as important. So if you place yourself in the universe's hands because the universe has your back. In the morning and throughout the day, you hold yourself ready to accept God's will as it is made known through the circumstances of your daily life. Your attitude of acceptance, the attitude of acceptance becomes a constant prayer. So to cultivate this attitude, to remind yourself how to live with yourself, start today to recite every day the Serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathways to peace, taking as God did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that God will make all things right if I surrender to God's will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with God forever in the next. Amen. Done. So grateful that you guys are here. And puppy looks like he's been sleeping. This is Obie. All right, I'll see you guys again. Much love. I'd like to hear what came up for you in this. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so like so that other people can find us. And subscribe if you haven't already. Much love.